Hey, Connor!
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing some Q&A. We're going to be answering some of the questions that you guys have sent in that you need a little bit more insight. So let's get started. Very first question is, let's see, what is the Facebook pixel? Now, this is a pretty easy question to answer, but it's one that a lot of people don't know what it is, and is the most important thing you need to know if you're going to be doing Facebook advertising. And it's one of those things that I sometimes forget people don't really know about it. But when I first got started 5-6 years ago with Facebook advertising, I started running ads, and then I was trying to figure it out on my own, watching some YouTube videos. What was crazy was I just started running ads with like optimizing for link clicks or whatever, or video views, because just like every other brand new Facebook marketer, I just was trying to figure it out. Luckily, I had somebody who was like, hey, you need to use the Facebook pixel. It's a piece of code, blah, blah, blah. And that really helped me start seeing results from the ads. So the Facebook pixel is a piece of code that Facebook created that you can put on your website to track the results from your ads. Essentially, so you put this code on your entire website, and then you can take event snippets, another piece of code, and you put them on certain pages of your website that if somebody makes it to that page, it will send that code and fire and tell the pixel this happened. And Facebook is able to match that with the person who clicked on the ad, and it will then tell you, hey, this person purchased this product because they made it at this point on the website, right? Now, it has evolved. Facebook is trying to just make it easier and easier now. If you're using Shopify, Kajabi, or ClickFunnels, a lot of them, they just have you just take the Facebook code ID and you can put it in, and it'll automatically set everything up for you. And it's so much easier. Facebook has even made it so that you can just put your website in. Once you put the code on your website, go to your website, and you can assign buttons to fire events. So it's a great tool for just tracking, but what the real power of the Facebook pixel is that piece of code is on probably 80 to 90% of the websites out there, because Facebook advertising has become such an essential part of so many businesses' growth. Facebook is collecting data on all of these people because they know who's going to be clicking on ads, what kind of stuff they're interested in. That's why it makes Facebook advertising so great, is you can target people based on interests, not that they've just shown on Facebook, but what they've shown outside of Facebook. Now, as a consumer, I hate that. Leave me alone. I like my privacy. As an advertiser, I love it because it makes my job easier. So the Facebook pixel, there's a gazillion tutorials out there on how to install the Facebook pixel. It is getting so easy, and that's where a lot of Facebook course creators their course is literally just showing you how to set up a Facebook pixel. But yeah, so the Facebook pixel, Facebook has their own tutorials. There's a ton on YouTube. But the most important thing when it comes to the Facebook pixel is that you actually use it. Make sure it's on your website. Make sure you're tracking your events. So that way, when you're running your Facebook ads, you can set your goals for your advertising for the goals that you want to happen, right? If you want purchases to happen, you can set your goals for campaigns to drive sales. So it makes it a great tool, and make sure you use it every single time when you're running ads. Next question, where would influencer marketing be most and least effective? So first off, what is influencer marketing? Essentially, it's pretty simple. You can send your product, or you can pay people who have a big following on social media like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and pay them to promote your product. So in my opinion, influencer marketing is one of the biggest miss or hit kind of marketing strategies out there. It can do so good and it can do so bad. For an example, for one of our brands, we've got an app, and we had an influencer post on 3 different videos on TikTok. Each one got on average 300,000 to 400,000 video views. And it brought in maybe 150 users to a free app. It's terrible. I mean, hundreds of thousands of views and only a handful of new users. Luckily, we didn't have to pay this influencer a ton. They did it more as like a favor. But if we would have paid them what other companies had paid him, it would have been a huge waste of money because it just didn't move the needle. Whereas I've talked to another company just a couple weeks ago. They had launched their business. They're a clothing apparel brand in the fitness space. And they didn't pay anybody. They just sent product out to some smaller influencers, and it drove about $18,000-$20,000 of revenue, and they didn't have to pay a dime. They just had to ship them some product, which probably cost them, with the cost of their products and everything, maybe $50 per influencer. Why did that one work as opposed to the other one that got hundreds of thousands of views? Well, if you want influencer marketing to work, we've tried so many different types of brands and everything like that with influencer marketing. And what we found that is if the business doesn't know how to sell their own product, the influencer is not going to either, which sounds pretty simple. For example, we have the Meteor by Milestone. I bring this one up a lot. It's my business partner's brand. We run ads for it, and it's literally one of the hardest e-commerce products to sell because there's just so much science behind it. It's not very visual, so you don't really know what it is just by looking at it. Most people think it's a speaker. It's super frustrating to sell, and we've had to work. It's taken years to really dial in the correct formula to getting that product to move. We've tried influencer marketing with that, and we ship out a Meteor to people we've sent it to people who've had millions of followers, and they've posted, and it didn't get us any sales. It's crazy, right? But it's a hard product to sell. So like the influencer who never really sold products, they're not salespeople, they're influencers. They're gonna have a hard time selling your product if you have a hard time selling with it. So that's where you have to have a really great website that really converts well. And you have to coach those influencers on how to sell it. You just can't always just send them product and boom. So the things that consistently work well with influencer marketing are products that are very visual, like clothes, apparel, jewelry, supplements, right? Influencers do really well with supplements because they can say, oh, this tastes great. I like the ingredients. It looks good. Especially if they're super shredded. It's like, hey, this is what I take and I'm shredded. So they can visually show you what problem the product solves. If you're out of shape, it'll get you in shape, right? And so influencer marketing can be a great tool if you have that kind of product. But if you have a very science-backed product or something that's very complicated, influencer marketing is probably not going to be your jam. And even then, even if you have a visual product, you have to make sure that the right influencer posts about it. We were talking to one of our good friends. He owns a company, and he had a celebrity who has tens of millions of followers post about his product. And the influencers, the influencer's following and the influencer herself did not need the product. It was just the wrong niche. With millions of followers, it drove a total of $20 in sales and got millions of views because the influencer and that following weren't the right audience for this brand. And that happened twice to them. With influencer marketing, just to bring it all back together, is it can be great if you have very visual products and the influencers you're working with have the right audience, or they're the right kind of customer for your product. If not, influencer marketing will be a gigantic waste of time for you and your business. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you for sending in questions. If you have questions, make sure you comment below what they are and we'll answer them in upcoming videos. Also, make sure you hit that like button. That helps us a ton. And subscribe to stay updated on all the marketing trends and tactics that we're using here at Rep Labs that I'm sharing with you here on this platform for free. And I'll see you next time.